Courage or confidence? What do you need first? Is it courage or is it confidence? You know, when you have that really big decision to make, that really big life event, or this critical point in your life where something comes up and it's a choice, and you can say yes or you can say no. What is it that you need first? Is it courage or is it confidence? Now, when you have these kinds of decisions in your life, you have two choices, don't you? You, one, do nothing, change nothing. Or two, you lean in and you change everything. Now, I really want to know what you guys think. Is it courage or is it confidence? Write in the comments below. And as you're writing in your comments, definitely say hello if you're here. If you're live, say hey. If you're on the replay, give me a #replay. But as you're putting in your comments, let me just welcome you to Wellness for Wealth TV. I am your host, Natalia. Please call me Nat. I'm a life and business strategist, certified wellness coach, and founder of the Make It Happen Success System, which is designed to help professional entrepreneurial women make the life they say they want a reality in 5 simple steps. Now, tell me, courage or confidence? What do you think comes first? So I'm seeing courage, both. Yeah, both. Confidence, courage. Okay. So, guys, there's no right or wrong here. But what I do want to do tonight is share a personal story with you guys. But before I do, I thought that I would just read out some definitions for you guys. So, courage. Courage is defined as the ability to do something that scares you. Courage, the ability to do something that scares you. Confidence is belief in oneself and one's powers and abilities. Confidence, belief in oneself and in your powers and abilities. Okay? Now, I also want to just read to you this quote before I jump into my personal story and really dive into this topic. But I'm going to read it because it's a bit long, but it's from a tribe of mentors that I found. And it says, when you're operating out of courage, you're saying that no matter how you feel about yourself or your opportunities or the outcome, you are going to take a risk and take a step towards what you want. You are not waiting for the confidence to mysteriously arrive. That gave me like goosebumps when I read it. And I thought it was so fitting for this episode. Now, as I told you, I'm going to share with you a personal story because this is really how I got onto my journey, but I'll take you back to 2017, okay? It was 2 years after I finished my MBA and CPA, which I was working on for 4 years while I was working full-time in wealth management. And I was in wealth management starting in 2006, so right out of university. I've been there for 11 years. And I went in so cold. I knew nothing about financial management, nothing about wealth management. I got incredible training. Hey, Sakshi. Got incredible training. And I was climbing the corporate ladder, as one does, right? I was so proud of myself. I was climbing this corporate ladder, and because that's what you do, right? You go to university, you get a big girl job, you make lots of money, you find a man, a husband, get married, have kids, get the house, get the car, all that stuff, right? Now, on the outside, I was like all in. I was going for it. I was going to be the next chief innovation officer, even though that position hadn't even existed yet. Like I was, on track, ready to go. And everything I was working towards was preparing me for this moment. And, I was very successful. When I started, I was really quick to go into specialist roles, to coach roles, to managers, team leaders, supervisor, not in that order, but anyway, I had tons of opportunities, and I was really, really just on track. I was on track for my promotion. We were going through a big restructure, and it was exciting. There's lots of change, working with new people. But I'll tell you, on the inside, I was feeling smaller and smaller, and I was feeling more and more fatigued and more disenchanted with life, really. And every day was like this uphill battle, and it was so, like, every day got harder and harder, and everything was less and less clear to me, and I couldn't help feel that there was more for me. Now, it really, when I started to get hip pain, and I got lots of headaches, and I was really, really, I hit this point where I was like, I am not happy. And I was like, as you see me now, people tell me all the time, you're the most positive person I've ever met. And people would be like, why are you so positive? And I mean, on the outside, I still was, but on the inside, I was really, really struggling. And I was like, how can this be that I've worked so hard to get exactly where I want to be, but it somehow doesn't feel right? There's something happening. And I really thought that it was the stress. I really thought it was the stress from school and work, that I hadn't really come down from it, if you will. But then it hit me. It was like, Nat, why don't you just take some time off? Why don't you take a sabbatical and, focus on yourself, come back, and you'll be just good as new. Like, you'll have a reset, you'll get back to healthy, it'll be fine, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. But I'll tell you, it was one thing for me to reconnect while we were doing this big restructure, but what I had planned on was that I was going to take 6 months. I was like, this is now or never. It's the perfect opportunity. We're going through a restructure. We're going through tons of change. Nothing's really finalized. It's going to be months before this happens. And, this is your time. If you don't do this now, like, you're just going to stay stuck forever. That's how I was feeling. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take 6 months sabbatical. I'm gonna go see my family in Switzerland. I'm gonna go take a road trip in Spain. I'm gonna go to yoga retreats. I'm just gonna have a blast for 6 months, and then when I come back, I'll be good as new. Oh, and because I love academics and I love going all in, I'm gonna take a wellness coaching certification so that I can do my own wellness reset, and I'll build my coaching and business skills on the side, because that's what this program was through the International Association of Wellness Professionals. It was based on 3 pillars: wellness, coaching, and business. Now, I went to Switzerland. I had an amazing time with my family. We went on hikes, and then I rented a car in Spain, in Barcelona is where I started, all on my own, right? Like, people were like, are you going through a midlife crisis? But they were like, how are you so brave to do this? How on earth did you just pick up and leave your career and go on a sabbatical, and now you're in Spain? It was great. Like, some people just couldn't understand it. I myself was like, what is happening? But it was like putting one foot in front of the other. Once I found the courage to do it, it was about putting one foot in front of the other. And I'll tell you, what I wasn't expecting was the reconnection to myself, to body, mind, and soul, to be so powerful that it forced me to it just brought to light what was I was actually living my life. I had been coasting, and it was comfortable, and here was me getting a paycheck, and I bought a house, and I did all the things, bought a car. I wasn't seeing anyone, hadn't got married, all that jazz. But I'll tell you, I felt so renewed on this trip, and it was because I put myself first. Now, I hadn't done that. I didn't think it was necessary at the time, but I can tell you now it is absolutely necessary to put yourself first. And yes, it was scary, and yes, I was alone, but it was probably the first time that I was comfortable with that. All the other times when I was alone, I would find some kind of distraction or whether it was booze or whatever else, and then, I would just not have to think about it. And but this time, I was really loving life. I was doing what I wanted, when I wanted, and I was like, how am I going to go back? Do I even want to go back? What am I even going back to? And so this time, when you have this feeling, this opportunity that comes to you, and you're like, this is so scary, but you know what? It feels right. And that feeling is that courage that it's this beginning of this courage. It's up to you to do what you want with it, right? That you can say, no, I'm too afraid. Or you can say, you know what? F it, I'm gonna do it. Anyway, after my road trip, after I went back to Switzerland to regroup, and I decided at that moment, before I booked my trip to Bali to get my yoga teacher certification, I decided that I was going to quit my job, that I was going to give my notice, I wasn't going to go back, I was going to not stay on track for that promotion, I was going to start a totally different path. And this as well, my friends, was so scary, but it was an exciting scary. It was like oh my God, we're doing this. This is so exciting. I don't know what it's going to lead to, and I think it was that comfort of knowing I could go back. Doing what you've always done is always there as an option. But you have no idea what doors you're going to open when you actually decide to really use that courage to just go for it. And I'll tell you one thing, the confidence builds the more courage you use, the more experiences you have, the more lessons, the more failures, the more wins, whatever you want to call it, you become more confident. You become more and more confident in your abilities, in your unique brilliance, in your power. It's the most rewarding thing ever. I'm speaking from experience. I can't even begin to tell you. Now, if you want to know what happened, I started my own business. Yeah, as you guys, many of you know, and for those of you that don't know me, that's why I'm telling you this, but I started my own business. I'll come back to your comment, my love. I started my own business. I started coaching people from, locally first, and then it went all over the world. And it was about helping people improve their wellness, improve their well-being, improve their happiness, find new paths, create new visions, create action plans. And, with COVID, it's now, okay, with all of this entrepreneurial experience, with all this business experience, from coaches to me doing it on my own, it's like, I want to contribute more. I want to help people actually build their own online businesses so they can experience the kind of freedom that comes with you having the courage to make a choice, to take a chance, and forever change your life. I am so stoked for what's coming up for you guys. And I've been sharing some vulnerabilities with you because it is scary. Even for me at this point, it's scary, but it's exciting. It's like living life, you know what I mean? It's like grabbing it and just going for it with everything you have. And, you know, I can tell you that I've built so much confidence, and I know I've kind of told you that already, but I've built so much confidence in my abilities, in my powers, in my, you know, in my own unique brilliance, and it's evolving all the time. And that's why it's just so exciting to speak to you guys. So it's actually truly inspiring. Hats off to you. How we approach our life determines what we can accomplish. If we look at something difficult and say that's impossible, then it will be. Absolutely. If we say that's possible, then we open up new possibilities. We search for new ideas. We begin to make plans. It all depends on whether or not we are willing to give that idea a chance. Yes, everything starts with an idea. And it doesn't matter if it works out or not. It matters if you try. If you don't do anything, you'll never know. If you stay up here and think, well, what if this? What if it doesn't work? What if I can't? But what if it does work? What if you start flying? What if you start experiencing the most incredible life you've ever even dreamed of? And that's what I'm saying. You can make it a reality. You can. And I'm getting like emotional here because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to, you know, go on a path for so long and you think it's right. You learn, you evolve, and then you're like, wait a second. Hang on. How am I actually living my life? Am I actually loving what I'm doing? And life happens for you and not to you. I have to believe that restructure at the company was happening at that moment, at that time, for a reason. Life presented me that opportunity to take it or not take it, but I took it, and it's led me to Spain. It's led me to be able to coach people. It's led me to be able to help people start businesses, and it's helped me to help people be happier and be healthier and have more freedom, more financial freedom, more time freedom, all of that stuff where it's like, I wish I could. It's now like, oh my God, I'm creating it. That's the most rewarding thing I can ever even imagine. I ever even imagined that I would do, let alone the feeling that I get every day when I wake up. And yes, there are those bad days, and yes, there are those days where I'm like, oh my God, like, am I really, like, the next level up? It's like, is this really gonna happen, you know? And it's like, yes, it's gonna happen, and I'm gonna make it happen. But listen, I wouldn't have got to where I am without courage. I wouldn't have gotten to where I am without taking the courage to build the confidence after experiencing and teaching and coaching and failing and failing and failing and failing and winning and winning and winning. It's all part of life. The good, the bad, the ugly, it's up to, you know, they're your choices to make. And if you just go what feels good, if it doesn't feel good, then maybe it's not the right time. If it feels good, even though you're scared, do it. See what happens. As long as you're being safe about it. But no one is responsible for your life, for your outcomes, other than you. You can't blame other people. You can't blame circumstance. You can't. It's easy to do that, and I know it's easier said than done, but I'm telling you, you have all the power and you have so much more control than you realize. And if you don't realize that, then I will help you realize that. But you do. Take my word for it. Try something. What I want to leave you guys with today, think of something that you've been so scared to do, that you've been putting off, but that actually feels exciting. There's a big difference, and you'll know what I mean if you just go within for a second. Excuse me, but think of that one thing that you've been so scared to do, or so scared to say, but so scared to do, and just do it and see what happens, and tell me about it, because I want to hear about it. Do that. That's my one call to action today, is do something that you've been putting off, that you've been scared to do, that feels right, that feels like you should do it, but you've been putting it off for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Now's your chance. Now is your chance, because I'm challenging you. And I want you to message me when you do it, and I want to hear it, and I want to just share that excitement with you, even if it's scary. All right? Guys, it's been a pleasure, and I love you, and I'm wishing you so many good thoughts. Take the courage, build the confidence. That's really the message for today's episode. So on that note, I love you and leave you. Please share this with anyone who may need to hear this, but I will see you next week for the final episode of Wellness for Wealth TV. Bye.